Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. Those of you that have flocked back over to TikTok, live is not an option tonight, so we're going to start here over on Facebook. So tonight, I want to share with you Module 7 of the Insight Framework. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about friendship. It's a concept that resonates really deeply with me. And I think it's really essential for us all to understand and practice. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about what makes a good friend. You might think of qualities like trustworthiness, loyalty, good listening, or empathy. The best friends are the ones where you might not see them for months, and then you pick up exactly as though no time had passed. They don't judge your messy house or your chaotic life. Or is that just me? They actually love you for those things. Good friends don't want you to change. Their bond to you is not because of who you could be, but rather exactly as you are. Now, you can so easily describe what makes a good friend. And yet, none of us treats ourselves with that same grace. Imagine for just a second that your clone were to walk in right now in the role of your very best friend. How wonderful would it be to have you as your best friend? I imagine that you pride yourself on being kind, selfless, and thoughtful as a friend. At least that's what I tell myself. How many times have you dropped everything to rush to the side of your friend in their time of need? How many wedding showers and baby showers have you endured? Thoughtful Christmas gifts based on your in-depth knowledge of your friend's likes and needs. Let me give you an example. When my good friend had her baby, the first one, I jumped on a plane and stayed for a week and did the overnights so that she could get sleep without worrying about her new son. It was amazing to see how much more human she felt after 7 straight hours of sleep. When this friendship strategy falls apart is when we start realizing that we have given ourselves away in service to others, but they don't return the favor. We end up angry and resentful. In truth, our dedication and commitment to others is yet another way that our alligator brains try to keep us safe. After all, if we're so very good, who could possibly abandon us? I'm curious, what could be different if you treated yourself in that way and not in that nasty Karen voice that's on constant nag mode that you have now? What's stopping you? We act like there's a freaking award committee coming around to reward us for being hard on ourselves. I mean, is that an award you'd even be proud of? Would you want your kid to come home from school with an award like that? Our thoughts guide our feelings. You have the power to cultivate your thoughts. What if we could just change that inner dialogue? Being your own best friend starts with self-compassion. Think about how you react when you make a mistake. Do you berate yourself or do you offer understanding? Our brains are wired to protect us, but sometimes that protection comes in the form of harsh self-criticism. That's your survival instinct talking, the part of your brain that's all about keeping you safe, but not necessarily making you feel good about yourself. On top of our survival instinct, we have our higher thinking brain, where empathy and compassion and the ability to anticipate consequences live, right here in this frontal cortex. When we are kind to ourselves, we're engaging that part of our brain. But when we're stressed or scared, our survival instinct can take over, and we lose access to this higher thinking. So how do we become our own best friend? We start by recognizing when our survival instinct is in control, when the alligator has taken over driving our emotional bus. When you catch yourself being self-critical, take a second to pause. Recognize that your brain is just trying to protect you. Then try to engage your higher thinking brain by offering yourself the same compassion that you would offer to your friend. Think of a time for a second where you were proud of yourself. Maybe it was a small achievement like finishing a project, or something bigger like overcoming a challenge. Hold on to that feeling for a second. This is how you build a positive relationship with yourself. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small they are. In therapy, I'll often ask my clients to celebrate small celebrations in the pursuit of a bigger goal. Our alligator brains are Janet Jackson fans. They want to know what you've done for me lately, not what might happen months from now. I bet you can recall every single time your boss has given you a genuine, distinct compliment, but couldn't even begin to list all the mistakes you've made and what a screw-up you are. Inpatient programs, they'll reset the reward scale twice a day so that one mistake doesn't mean that all is lost. Another way we could do this is by creating a reward and punishment system for our kids that allows them to make a repair for a mistake by making an amend to reset. After all, that's the life skill that we're trying to develop. We're gonna make mistakes. That's a given. Have you met me? We all say awful things when we step on the Lego in the dark. It's what happens in the next 15 seconds that determines whether we make things better or worse for ourselves. Let me give you a concrete example. Let's say we're trying to get our teenager to do chores and it's summertime. So we decide that the sink needs to be empty of dishes by 5 p.m. every night when the parent gets home. So let's say that the kid blows it off, playing video crack all day. How's mom going to be when she gets home? She's going to be heated. So when we set up the expectation, we set up a consequence that's slightly painful, just enough to get the kid's attention, but not so painful and prolonged that the kid just throws his hands up and says, I give up. Think about that time your mom grounded you for a month. Was that effective? Could she have gotten her message across more effectively? I don't know about you, but draconian punishments just made me better at not getting caught. So back to our kid with the chore. So mom has front-loaded the kid that if the dishes aren't done at 5 p.m., his access to the internet will be shut off for the next 24 hours. I like to hit him where it hurts. Now, of course, the kid is going to erupt at the injustice. Again, remember, we're not dealing with an adult brain here. So the likelihood that the kid is going to immediately accept accountability for his decisions and the natural consequences that come from those is virtually zero, nada, zilch. Here's the part where we go wrong managing our relationships with our kids, our employees, even our spouses. When a system is all downside, most of us will simply take our ball and go home. So how do we help the kid still find a way to be successful while also keeping him engaged in the system and not completely shut down? What might be different if we offered an alternative solution? Okay, Bobby, you didn't get the dishes done by 5 and you lost the internet. That sucks. Here's a chance to make it right. If you do the dishes by 9 p.m. and do a load of laundry, we'll reset the clock and you can get your internet back. How does that change the kid's experience? Well, for starters, we've set the kid up for success because we've offered at least one opportunity to correct a mistake without creating a big explosive scene. At that point, it's the kid's choice whether or not to accept the consequence or make the amend. Fast forward to adulthood, and this young person pisses off her partner for being late to their date night. Best believe that child needs to know how to make an amend, not simply sit back and resent the consequences. That's the adult skill here. We make mistakes. Life happens. We have to develop skills where we can do what we can to make the repair and then forgive ourselves so we can do better the next time. Mistakes shouldn't be a life sentence. Now, let's imagine turning that same compassion inward. What if we gave ourselves a chance to fix mistakes and move forward productively? What if we could talk about our mistakes in our please pass the butter voice and own our part in them? Of course, we're responsible for turning that hard-won experience into knowledge for the next time. But carrying our shame around like a handmaid's cloak to hide ourselves isn't serving anyone. Another key aspect of being your own best friend is self-care. Treat yourself with the same care and respect that you give to others. That might mean taking time to relax or do something you enjoy, or simply taking care of your basic needs. When you prioritize your well-being, you're telling yourself that you matter. Here's an example from one of my clients. She's ready for bed by 8 p.m. He's a night owl. They have different times that they need to wake up in the morning, so he can stay up later and still get his 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Unfortunately, she believes that she's serving her relationship by staying up way past her bedtime in order to spend time with him. But she's shortchanging her own sleep to do that. Over time, she gets more and more exhausted and resentful. The next thing you know, she wants to throat punch him over dishes in the sink when what she really is physically exhausted. We have to get to know ourselves the same way that we would a friend. How much sleep do we really need? How often do we need to eat? How much water does our body ask for? What temperatures can we tolerate? And what temperatures can we not tolerate? I'm married to a woman. Nobody at my house is ever happy with the temperature. It's simply too much to lay these basic care tasks like water and food and sleep, to lay them on our partners. We have to make sure that they get met first before we can give anything to others. Remember, we asked the pilot to also put on an oxygen mask. In fact, we asked the pilot to put one on first because that job is so important for the well-being of all of us. Again, we're not looking for perfection. Nobody is out here adulting day after day on 10 hours of sleep. Life doesn't allow for that most of the time. We're trying to fill all the roles perfectly. Employee, boss, parent, spouse, child, sibling, you name it. At any given moment, something is being sacrificed at the cost of something else. Our work then is to be vigilant about unearthing our limits and holding those sacred, because no one else is going to be able to do that for you. If we're exhausted, our best friend would come in and say, honey, go to bed. This is all going to be here in the morning. They might say, feeding your kids McNuggets for the 3rd time this week is not a mortal sin. They'd be right there, seeing how hard we're working and giving us the grace when we try to do too much. One more thing, boundaries. Being your own best friend means setting healthy boundaries. This means saying no when you need to and not overextending yourself. It's about knowing your limits and respecting them. When you do this, you're honoring your own needs and well-being. Brad Reedy explains it in his book. I had a copy, here we go. My favorite book on the planet, The Audacity to Be You. When you come to know yourself as you are, it suddenly becomes insignificant what other people think about you. You get to just be. Maybe your limits aren't the right ones. You don't have to justify them. You get to simply live in your truth and leave other people to theirs. Now let's explain how being your own best friend ties into attachment theory. Attachment theory, which was developed by a guy named John Bowlby, explains how our early relationships with the people who took care of us shape our expectations and behaviors in relationships throughout the rest of our lives. There are 4 main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. People with a secure attachment style generally have a positive view of themselves and everyone else. They feel comfortable with intimacy and independence. However, those with anxious or avoidant attachment styles often struggle with self-worth and trust in relationships. Anxious individuals might be afraid of abandonment and seek constant reassurance, while avoidant individuals might distance themselves to avoid dependency because that puts them at risk of getting hurt. By being your own best friend, you are essentially forming a secure attachment with yourself. This means providing yourself with the trust, loyalty, and support that you need to feel safe and valued. When you practice self-compassion, self-care, and set healthy boundaries, you're creating a reliable and nurturing inner relationship. And this inner secure attachment can be really healing for those that have an anxious or an avoidant attachment style, because it helps rewire your brain to feel more secure and balanced in your relationship with others. Think of your relationship with yourself, your inner relationship, as a foundation. When it's strong and secure, it becomes easier to navigate your external relationships with confidence and stability. You begin to trust yourself more, which reduces anxiety and the need for constant reassurance. You also become more comfortable with intimacy and setting boundaries, which helps to alleviate your avoidant tendencies. So let's recap. Being your own best friend involves self-compassion, self-care, celebrating your successes, learning from your mistakes, setting healthy boundaries, and forming a secure attachment with you. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and support that you would offer to your closest friend. I'd like you to take a minute and think about how you can start being a better friend to yourself today. What small step can you take to treat yourself with more kindness and compassion? Remember, this is a journey and it's going to take time. But with each step you take, you're building a stronger, more positive relationship with yourself. And that is something truly worth celebrating. I'm so glad you were with me tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about what else we have going on, if I can figure out how to get over there. Okay, let's talk about how you can keep the momentum going. 1, I have an online course. It's called the Insight Framework. You can find it at course.amandaredwine.com. There are 6 additional modules in addition to the one you heard tonight. It includes group support for a year. And the price on that is $37. Our first group therapy cohort, the Estrogen Avengers, starts on February 16th. The group's meant for women over 30 who are ready to process their pasts and step confidently and cultivate a life they love. You can contact me now to reserve your spot. Your insurance company might even help cover some of the costs. We still have 3 full scholarships available, so reach out to apply. My Congruent Couples Workshop is February 22nd. It's going to be at Christy B's Comedy Club right here in Palm Coast from 12 to 3. The cost is $497 per couple, and the price includes a private follow-up session with me to figure out what are your best next steps. Each couple gets to participate in the Gottman Institute Relationship Checkup Assessment, which produces a 20-plus page report to help you identify where you're stuck so that we can work on improving your communication and relationship satisfaction in a way that's customized to you. In March, we'll be hosting a parenting workshop as well, so more details to come on that. If you need more one-on-one care, we have 2 options for that. The first is called our Guided Growth Program. That includes the Insight Framework course, along with a monthly one-on-one session with me to get personalized service. The big enchilada, the big kahuna, is called my Comprehensive Care Package. It's a complete tailored experience with 12 90-minute sessions scheduled at your convenience, and that means evenings, weekends. It's all up for discussion. You get supplementary materials valued over $200 and priority scheduling, meaning you get the next available appointment before anybody else does. And you'll get 25% off any additional sessions you decide to purchase. You can go to my website, www.amandaredwine.com, to learn more and to sign up. Listen, flexibility is one of my core values. So if none of these options fit, reach out. We'll create a plan that does work for you. My hope is that you realize that you don't have to walk this path alone. You've found your flock, your dysfunctional, wackadoodle flock. And I'm so grateful that you're here. My book, Skunk Nugget Parenting, is available on Amazon. No matter where your next steps take you, please know that I'm holding you in divine light. And thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. We'll see you soon.